Aloha, kind people. Welcome to Uloo Talks, Feed Your Curiosity. I'm Ferchi, your host, and a happy islander from Uloo, the app that guides you to learn, grow, and live your best life with guidance from expert coaches and support from like-minded soul. In this episode, we will have the luxury to listen to a courageous and inspirational story. It is a story about the journey of surviving and fighting cancer and finding a friend to walk through that journey today together. And here with us, Ian Batten, a proud cancer survivor, the founder of the African Survivor Foundation, and a cancer care and chronic pain coach here at Uloo. His life changed because of cancer, but he chose to fight it to help and even motivate others who are on the same journey. Welcome, Ian. Thank you for being here with us.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Fergie. It's an absolute honor and a pleasure being part of this journey and actually getting my story out there for people to hear and to actually create hope for people that are going through whatever situation that you're going through. So, yes, I'm very honored and touched, and I feel very welcome. So, thank you.
Thanks to you. I feel honored to have this opportunity to speak with you and to be kind of like the facilitator for people, more people, Uloo Talks viewers and listener here to listen to your story, to get to know you better and find that motivation from you. So let's start with the most important question, I would say, like, how did it all begin? Like, could you share with us the moment that changed your life and how you arrived here on this very day?
Yeah, wow, sure. Fergie, that is a very good question. It took me by surprise, like I suppose, like all cancer diagnosis take people by surprise. For me, it started in February 2003. I went for a simple hernia operation. I didn't expect to come out of hospital being told that you're diagnosed with testicular cancer stage 4. So for me, it was a big shock. I know when I got the diagnosis, I couldn't believe it. I was dumbfounded. I sat in a hospital bed, because when the guys were doing the operation, they saw something going wrong in my groin area, and they said to me, "No, but hang on, let's send this guy for more tests." So they sewed me up. They repaired the hernia, sent me for more tests, and it came back. Yes, I was stage 4 testicular cancer, and that was wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Why now? And I still got angry. I didn't need this now. What is the world or what is God trying to do to me? Because and so I remember going through the stages of being angry and stuff. And then I was employed by a very big, large retail company, and I was in a very senior position. And I remember the one day I was home and my boss was finding out what my recovery was and how long I was going to be off work and that with the hernia. And then I remember I had to tell him the good news that I was actually stage 4 testicular cancer. Now, for me, for being a stage 4 was a big thing because in my family, all my aunts and uncles died of some form of cancer. So I knew it was a death sentence for me, especially being stage 4. I knew the different stages that you get. So that was really, really hard for me to know that I was actually given a death sentence, and I was given my judge, jury, executioner all in one day. I didn't even have chance to defend myself, type of thing. And I remember chatting to him, and then his words to me, and I'll never, ever forget it, turn around and say, "You know what? We as a company cannot, unfortunately, walk this road for you because it seems like you're going to die. So please, bring your company, make sure you bring the company car back. And this is where we part ways." I was sort of like, "What?
That's horrible.
No, I was given the death sentence, and then now I'm getting told I don't have a job anymore. So now what? Now what happens? Because you don't have a job, you don't have medical aid. Now what? Now what is going to happen to me now?" So I remember I went and I could hardly walk from the hernia operation, and I went and took the company car back, and a friend brought me home, and I was sitting at home, and I was thinking, "Geez, I think could things get any worse?" So I went for the operation, and I remember in the recovery ward. I don't know how many people have, when you come out of a hospital, operation, you're in the recovery ward, and they monitor your vital signs, and before they actually wheel you to your to your own ward. And I remember lying there, and I was facing my head was lying on the left side, and when you come around, you're sort of like your wits are not with you. And I had a look, and I saw this. Why is this eyes? Who's this person standing? That's short. They're standing staring at me. I thought, no, it can't be a small little nurse or something staring at me. And then as I became more clear-headed, I realized, but hang on, there's my crown jewels sitting in this jar next to my bed.
Wow.
I thought, now what am I supposed to do with this? And I was supposed to take it home, put it on my mantelpiece, invite all my friends over and say, come have a look at my crown jewels.
Another show and tell.
I'm not a man anymore. According to the worldly standard, I'm not a man anymore. So that was, I just turned over and I just started crying because it was hard. And I can understand how women feel when they lose their breasts as well.
For sure.
It's a big thing. It's not a thing. And anyway, I went through, I recovered. They sent me home. And they said, no, you're right, you must come back for have radiation. I thought, no, what radiation? I mean, up until then, the guys have given me no information. They spoke about chemo and radiation, and I wondered, okay, I've heard about chemo and radiation, but what does it entail? I didn't have any information what side effects are caused from this, taking this chemo and radiation. So I Googled radiation, and if you can, and Google became my best friend. And if you can Google radiation, you'll see a nice picture of this huge, big radiation thing with a lovely blonde girl with a towel over lying on the bench. And I thought, wow, if I can take one of those, I don't mind having radiation. Was I surprised? Radiation wasn't nice.
Not quite,
it's basically they burn the cancer cells, and recovered from that. And they said to me that I need to go the next 5 years. I was put in remission. The next 5 years after that, I need to do regular checkups. Mm-hmm. So I said to myself, I'm not going to do this again. No way is I'm going to get my finger every 3 months.
Checkup,
for checkup to have been stuck up there. I said, no, thank you. So typical male, didn't go back.
I see.
And that was very, very bad. It's because of me not having my regular checkups and going back to work in the retail sector. I was in long hours and the pressure and the stress and everything. And it came back in 2009. They found 2 lumps on my left side of my lungs. And yes, I went through a very demanding chemo regime because they didn't tell me what was chemo. So I had to Google it and find out the effects of chemo, that you could maybe lose your head, you can get mouth sores, you can bring it on. Let's do it. I mean, I survived the one thing with radiation. How can bad chemo be? Man. I went from a 92 kilogram healthy guy to a 40 kilogram walking corpse within a space of a few months of chemo. I lost all my energy. I lost my zest for life. So it was very, very difficult. And I was a single father of 2 beautiful girls, and they're still very, very young. So I remember the one day, this continued till about September, the treatments and that. And I said to my mother, I called my mother and I said, you know what, I can't carry on anymore. I can't not have any life in me. I'm dead. I can't even get up off the bed some days.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm not going to go for chemo treatment anymore. So whatever the doctor gives me, a year, 2 years, whatever, I want quality time with you and the girls. So yes, I did give up. I said no more. I wasn't going to take the continued punishment of the chemo. And I remember I was lying in bed, and it was like the day started off like any other day. And I was very ill. I could hardly lift my head off the pillow, and I heard it's like I'm talking to you. I heard my name, Ian, my son. And I remember I opened my eyes, I looked around, and I called for my mother and my daughters. There weren't any response from them. So I thought, okay, well, I'm dreaming. So I went back to sleep again. And I heard again, Ian, my son. I thought, no, man, geez, has this chemo affected my brain so badly that you're going to put me in a straitjacket? I'm actually hearing voices now. Now, I'm definitely hearing my name being called, and there's nobody in the room. And then the third time, Ian, my son. But I felt this warmth, Fergie. I can't explain to you that from the top of my head to the tips of my toes. And all was said was, stand up, you'll keep quiet no longer. And I thought, wow. And I've actually got goosebumps now talking about it. That was a changing thing of thing. Yes, I carried on with the chemo, and because I took my hand in God's hand, my body started responding a lot quicker to the chemo, and my sickness. Yes, I did have sore throwing up and losing. Obviously, I lost my hair and I had sores in my mouth and things like that. But those side effects weren't as bad as it could have been.
Wow.
If I didn't have that. So that was a big turning point in my life. And since then, I haven't kept quiet. I've stood up and I've spoken. I've done various talks with survivors and things like that. And then, 2018, I started. I knew before that there was something on my right side of my face. I didn't really take note of it, and it started getting bigger, and pus started coming out of it. Brown stuff started coming, started bleeding. So I went to a couple of doctors. They said, no, it's a flesh-eating disease. Don't worry about it. And it just started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the ridicule the stuff that I suffered because of that. My whole social life became, that's why I've got this bandana on as well. My whole social life went down the drain. I mean, you can actually see people when they come to you, up to your face, and they want to shake your hand, their eyes automatically go to the right side of my face and see this ugly sore that was there. I mean, it took over the huge part of my right face. And you can see them shaking hands. You see them moving slightly, slowly moving back, and then you see them wiping their hands. And you just want to grab them and hit them and say, you know what, cancer is not contagious, you know. So I was diagnosed with a very aggressive form of a basal cell carcinoma, skin cancer. And when I did some talks here around South Africa, I went to the informal settlements, and I found out how much stigma is attached to the word cancer in different communities. And I just like, wow, I cried when the guy came up to me and hugged me the first day and said, thank you for coming into our community and talking about cancer, because we are being stigmatized. And I was like, but why are you being stigmatized? And then the story came out why they've been stigmatized. They've either been bewitched or whatever. I don't get it. And really, I just wept. I wept for this guy. We were hugging each other. We were crying, because to me, it's unacceptable that now somebody who's been given a death sentence has to go through all the pain and all the emotions of anger, depression, anxiety, blah, 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 that you're facing. That comes with a chemo diagnosis. And then now you're still getting more pressure from your community that, oh, look at that guy, he's being bewitched or whatever the story is, you know. To me, it was very, very hard to accept that. And that's what's been my motivating factor to stand up and actually be heard. That's how we got to today. And that's who I am. And I make no bones about it.
Arrived in this very day. Yeah. And you mentioned a lot of things about the social stigma, the lack of information of like what you had to go through and everything. But what would you say is the biggest challenge throughout that journey? Is it the stigma? Is it the fear because like the lack of information? And because like you mentioned that the doctors didn't even tell you much of the information. You had to Google yourself of everything. Like, so would that be the biggest challenge, or what do you think is the biggest challenge?
Firstly, there's quite a few things that obviously your different feelings that you go through, the process that you go through before you start getting to the stage where your mind is right to start fighting this cancer. I think my biggest challenge is that they say that power is knowledge. Power is not knowledge until it is applied.
You
know, to me, that was the biggest thing, because you have all these people suddenly now taking over your life. And I'm a person, I've always been a person that likes to control my own life. And to have your oncologist, your doctors, your even your care team come and say, you know what, this is what's going to happen. These are the treatments you're going to go through. This is how you're going to organize your daily life. To me, that was the biggest challenge. To get that knowledge and to use that knowledge that I Googled and wanted to try and put that into my life is the biggest challenge. Because look, I'm not saying that all oncology departments, all doctors are like it, but you as a person being diagnosed with cancer, get information yourself. Don't let those people control your life. Don't let the people say, okay, this is what's going to happen, blah, 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 black wire. Rather go home, process everything, then start looking to see what's the best, and then making decisions forward once you start getting your head around this whole cancer diagnosis and that. So for me, that was the biggest challenge, is taking control back.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing like advice, I would say, because like once you get diagnosed, you mentioned it, that everything going through your mind, and you tend to, let's do whatever they say. And then like you lose control and you lose your sense of yourself. Like this is not my life anymore. I'm just the body, and like they're deciding what's happening to me. But like to process all of those informations and get second, third opinions and process that and decide what is best for you. That would be kind of like a powerful decision to take control of your life despite going through this really difficult journey. Yeah.
Absolutely. And ask as many questions, get information, and go back to your oncologist, your care team, and say, listen, I've got questions. Don't just take what they say. Ask questions till you 100%. Doesn't matter if you ask 1,000 times the same question 1,000 times, until you are 100% happy with that decision, that you know that yourself, that you've asked the questions that you needed to ask. Then you can process and go to the next step.
Amazing. And you once mentioned that family is an important key of to being able to fight and survive cancer. Would you mind elaborating on that? Like, why family? Why is it the most important part?
Yeah, family. I definitely agree. Family is an important part because they see you when you're at your worst. They see you when you're sick. I remember my young daughters, they were in grade school at the time, cleaning my face and emptying my vomit buckets and things like that. We are sick and bringing me backwards and forwards, and the stuff to eat, like your tea or the egg that I was eating. So they're very important, even though after I'd gone back into remission and years later I found out how much that my family actually hurt, because it's not just the person that's going through the cancer, it's their immediate family. They also go through a very similar road to what the cancer sufferer goes through. So when I mean family as well, I'm talking about community can pull a bit as a family as well. And so as a community, get involved. Find out if the person can get backwards and forwards to their chemo sessions. Don't just sit there and let that person, that whole family suffer. Become part of that family. I don't mean that you have got to spend thousands of rands or dollars, whatever, but do the small, simple things. Pick up the phone or WhatsApp and say, "Oh, you guys, all right? What do you need?" Because that is so important for the recovery of not only the person that's going through the cancer, being diagnosed with cancer, but the whole family as well. So that the whole unit can actually move out and look at a bright sunny day. Community definitely must rally around the person and stop pointing fingers and stop ridiculing and stop calling names and stop stigmatizing that family, that person who's been diagnosed with cancer.
Be supportive,
be more supportive. And I know it's probably taking a lot of people out of their comfort zone. It's definitely important because it makes the person more positive and it brings out a sense of community out of the household. But more importantly, it makes a whole household unit healed.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Yeah, I found I think I'm lost at words here, because also I feel that family is really the most important thing for you to go on, because I do agree that they are also in this journey with you. It's not just the survivor, but they're also those survivors, and it's not just as a person, but as a family unit, and also the extended family of community. We can move forward together if we just have that empathy, that compassion, to help each other. I mean, just the least thing that we can do is not making it worse, by stigmatizing and all that, but smallest act of kindness, smallest action that we can do to support would be just really impact in a great way for the cancer survivors, for the family as well. So yeah, I'm really moved about that. Yeah. And what is the thing that pushes you to be a motivational coach, or I would say, why did you take on this role to motivate others?
And first of all, it's testicular cancer is not really widely known, and we as men, we don't want to talk about things when it comes to our sexual parts or below the belt type of thing. So for me, it's important. And when I started on this whole journey and started doing talks for various cancer associations in South Africa, various cancer companies, I found out that young boys at the age of 12, 13 years old are actually dying from testicular cancer, not knowing that they had it. And to me, that was a big thing. So yeah, I designed pamphlets on that. And whenever I did my talk, pamphlets got handed out and things like that. Now, just like with the breast cancer, the ladies with breast cancer doing your self-examinations, men must also do that. And as us as fathers, to teach our young boys, as they're coming into adolescence, how to do their own self-checks, because that's one of the most curable forms of cancer, if detected early. Is testicular cancer. If you detect it early, you can survive it. You don't need to go through what I went through. You don't need to go through the operations and the chemo and stuff like that. All they do is just remove the lump and sew you up and send you on your way again. So yeah, it's very, very important for me to get that knowledge out there and to sort of be held accountable, because I believe that I survived for a reason. I believe that I can't just sit down and keep quiet and knowing what I know and not talking about it. To me, that's definitely not on. So yes, I'm going to shout it, no matter what teeth I lose or body parts, more body parts I lose to cancer. I'm still going to shout it until my death. That cancer is curable, and there is hope with people with
Yes.
being diagnosed with cancer. And I will break the stigmas as well, to say,
Yeah.
stop doing that. But yeah, getting back to what motivates me is knowing that young boys the age of 12, 13 dying from a disease that first of all, they don't talk about because of the community pressure of being stigmatized, and them not knowing that what they've actually got. So that's very, very important to me to actually get that out. But not only for them as well, for the survivors. Help the person next door to you or in your community that has been diagnosed with cancer. And it's what you touched on very briefly, and rightly so. It's the small things that matter.
Yeah.
A WhatsApp message. How are you doing? Is there anything I can do for you?
Yeah.
So that's the type of thing. And yes, I strongly believe that we are here for that reason. We have survived for that reason. Because also another thing, when I was diagnosed, yes, I had all this death in the family and things. I looked around. The first thing I did was looked around who survived cancer. I couldn't find any survivors.
For sure. Yeah.
Survivor stories are not widely
wide open. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And it's again, it all boils down to being the community stigmatizing a person.
Yeah.
And that's very hard to solve for me. That's a really, really, yes, I suffered it myself, and I'm still going through it with my face and things like that. But it's not going to stop me. It's definitely not going to stop me.
Yes, you're a warrior. And I would say, like, I've said this to you, and I'm saying it again. Hearing your story is actually kind of like bringing me back the confidence of humanity. I think, like, to have people like you, coaches like you, also like to help other people, to motivate other people for such a really difficult situation. I would say this brings back my confidence to humanity for sure. And
thank you.
Could you give us a little bit of your coaching here? Like what method or tools do you use to coach cancer or chronic pain survivors?
Messi, I've got an 8-week program. It goes over 8 weeks. We take week by week, and it's basically mindfulness meditation, being in the here and the present, and dealing with your feelings as they come up in the present. And getting through that, and getting through the cancer diagnosis, and not letting cancer define your life, because it doesn't define your life. At the end of the day, yes, there's things that are happening, and you might lose body parts and things like that, but cancer is so limited. And that's a message that I want to get across. Cancer cannot steal your hope. Cancer cannot steal your joy, and cancer cannot steal your eternal life. Yes, you lose body parts and things like that, but at the end of the day, and it's a process that I had to go through to accept me losing my crown jewels. But once I've accepted it, it's just body parts that you're losing. It's not affecting exactly. It's not affecting Ian as a whole. It's just body parts. And I'm losing my ear. Yes, I'm on the journey of getting a prosthetic ear. And I'm losing I've lost skin off my face and things like that. But then again, it's just body parts.
Yeah.
So through this 8-week journey that I go through with you, I equip you, and to give you the questions, and to give you the courage and the boldness to ask these questions, and to check the facts from your oncologist. And also to take control back of your life, which is very important. So yes, it's using mindfulness meditation, and it's not everyone thinks mindful meditation, it's all to do with Buddhism. No, it's not. It's yes, it has principles in Buddhism, but it's for all religions to actually jump on board and practice mindful meditation. And there's definitely, you'll see the clear benefits of it. And also I've doing articles on journaling as well, and the impacts that it has on journaling. It has on your life. It's just fundamental, and it's processes that people need. We need to get out there for people to learn, to have a change of mindset and the change in life.
Yeah, these tools will kind of like help these survivors, and even not just the survivors, like if it's just like family of the survivors, like all of us to be really mindful on where we are going, and take back again that control, that power of knowledge again. For sure, like this journey comes with all of this confusions and complexity to it, but these tools will actually help them to get through it then.
Definitely, look, there's a process you go through: anxiety, depression, stress, anger, blah blah blah, that comes with the cancer diagnosis, or comes with anything in life. And it's important that you realize that it's okay to be angry, it's okay to have a bit of depression, it's okay to have a bit of stress. And this mindfulness tools actually help you deal with that, and actually help you cope through that process. It's somebody who's been there, suffered the stigma and has actually gone through it and come through it and smiling through it and saying, you know what, you don't have to be defined by it. Yeah.
That's quite inspiring. And the last thing that I'm curious about a lot of things, and I want to ask you a lot of questions, but just last thing that I'm curious about, I think that there's a special story you want to tell to motivate us, like cancer survivors, their families, and I would say like all people, all Uloo Talks viewers today.
Thanks, Fergie, for that. Yes, it's definitely important. You don't have to be diagnosed with cancer with the story that I'm going to tell now. Whatever you're going through in life, whether it be struggling financially, struggling with whatever it is, the story, you can apply it. You can take it, you can apply a message to it and say, you know what, I don't have to be defined by whatever is keeping me back. And the story goes like this. There's a lady who was vacuuming the house one day, and she had 4 candles sitting in her room. And she's minding her own business, doing the house chores, and that, as you were this weekend as well, doing the house chores. And she just all of a sudden just heard these candles talking. And like, okay. And she like stood by the door listening. And the first candle jumped up and said, "Hi, everyone, how's it? Yeah, I'm the candle of peace." Yeah, and the candle said, "Oh, yeah, how's it? Peace? Yeah, how's it going? Oh, like I'm burning so bright." And set herself on a light, and the wick is burning and a beautiful flame, and said, "Look how lekker I look," And now all of a sudden the flame started getting smaller and smaller and going out, and the candle said, "And now, what now? No, because there's no peace in this world, I can't carry on, I have to, I've been distinguished." So now this woman started getting sad. The second candle jumped up and said, "Hey, everyone, I'm the candle of love, and because there's so much love in the world, I'm going to light myself up." And the wick started burning bright. The flame was bright, and the candle of love was parading up and down. And the woman thought, because she started smiling again when she heard this. And then also the candle of love turned around and started weeping and said, "No, because there's no love in this world anymore, I'm also going to be distinguished." And the flame started getting smaller and smaller, and eventually it got snuffed out. And now these other 2 candles started thinking, "Gee, no, what's going on?" Third candle jumped up and said, "Hey, guys, don't worry, I'm the candle of joy. I will set herself a light again and start burning bright, sort of walking up and down and bragging, 'Yeah, I'm the candle of joy. Look how bright I shine,' and things like that." And also 5 minutes later, same thing as well. The candle started standing still and getting walking started getting slower and slower, and eventually the wick started and the flame started getting smaller and smaller. And everyone said, "And now?" No, because there's no joy in the world, people have lost their joy about things, what they used to love doing, they don't do anymore, and things like that. And because of that, I'm also going to be distinguished. And the flame started getting smaller and smaller, and eventually go down. Now this lady started very worrying. She ran into the room and she's crying. No, how can this be? And eventually, remember, I said there were 4 candles, and she felt this tug on her dress and said, "Lady," and a small voice said, "Lady, don't worry. I'm the candle of hope. Like me, as long as you got hope, you can light the candle of peace. You can light the candle of love. You can light the candle of joy in your life again. So long as you got hope, so the message, as long as you got hope and you hold on to that hope, you will be able to find joy. You'll be able to find peace, and you'll be able to find love in your life again." And to me, that's very, very important. Hope is enormous. It can do enormous things. It can change people's lives. It can change people's mindset as long as you've got that hope. Yes. So that's my takeaway message this morning, or to you guys out there as well. No matter what you're going through, always have hope. Always know that tomorrow is another day, and things will be better.
That's such a beautiful story and beautiful message here. Like if we have that hope that we can carry on. Thank you so much, Ian, for this. And we're now at the end of this such inspiring episode. And before we go, I would like to reintroduce Ian, a cancer care and chronic pain coach here at Uloo. I couldn't put enough words on how important it is to educate ourselves, to be more aware of cancer, to have that power of knowledge and keep that hope candle burning bright and light others. And if you're in this journey of fighting cancer, or if your loved ones are going through it and you would need a support in navigating the way, you can directly book a coaching session with Ian through our Uloo app. Thank you again, Ian, for this extraordinary episode. Thank you for your story, your motivations, your inspirations. Thank you for being with us here today.
Fergie, thank you to you and your Uloo team as well for the encouragement and the help and the foresight and everything that you've done for me on this journey. And it's and I'm humbled and blessed to share the story with everybody. And thank you so much.
And thank you everyone for tuning in and watching this episode of Uloo Talks Feed Your Curiosity. To begin your personal growth journey, download Uloo and find your perfect coach match today. See you in the next episode and have a great day.